negativity just means that you're the one being left behind. So I would encourage him to embrace the change, because it's really after the change. Let's see if he embraces change. What's up next for him? Because she's learned, you know, being an air sign, well, Cancer with Gemini, strong rising Gemini. She's learned to embrace change. He really struggles with change. Hi everyone, welcome back to Naill Horan. My name is Hallie, so grateful to have you all. I'm doing the longer versions of videos that I've been doing, and a lot of you are really liking it, so I'm going to keep it like this. It saves me time with editing, and I will have timestamps throughout the video. If it's your first time watching, this is a tarot take on hot topics. This is what we can learn from situations. I do tell personal stories, so if personal stories are not for you, I'm not the tarot reader for you. I don't take it personally, I just don't want to see it in the comment section. Okay, so I'm going to start off. I have 6 people I'm doing today. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. I'm recording this on Thanksgiving before I get out of my house and do my Thanksgiving plans. So I will not have a live today when I have recorded this. And I'm just recording one video because I don't have time to do everything else. So members, this will come out first for you. But also, if you're part of the tarot class, I will have a class video up next week. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm starting off with Ariana Madix. And recently was announced, if you don't know Ariana Madix, she's from Vanderpump Rules. You can always skip ahead if you don't want to watch this. But she's from Vanderpump Rules. Her boyfriend of 10 years cheated on her. And she came out on the other side. I did predict, go back and watch my Ariana Madix videos. I've been almost 100% accurate with everything. I said that Vanderpump Rules was going to get a reboot. I said that they're going to bring out new people. I also said, I don't remember word for word, but I did say that she and Katie would get a new show, and I really strongly feel like that's still in the works. They get like a travel cross-country type show. I just think that they're waiting for Ariana's schedule to clear up. So I'm using the Muse Tarot for hers, for her reading, and I'm going to do career, love, and well-being. Okay, so career, I'm getting 4 Pentacles, so a lot of money coming her way. It's almost as though, I don't know if you guys can see, I'm trying to, when I look in the mirror, I'm looking at the cards. If you guys can see in the frame. A lot of the time, 4 Pentacles, right, is about taking care of yourself. So I think she might put things on pause to take care of herself. I get April. For some reason, I wonder what's going to happen planetarily in April 2025, because it seems like a lot is happening for people in 2025. So I wonder what's going on planetarily. I will look it up and I'll let you know, but it seems like a lot's going on. So I see her taking like a break from something. This might be to film that show, actually. To film the show with Katie. That I see them doing like a road trip kind of show. I'm actually kind of sad about Vanderpump Rules ending, well, them rebooting it, because I feel like I grew up with them. You know, it's the end of my 20s and early 30s, that show. It debuted when I was 23, so I feel so connected to it. And I've watched every season. So yeah, I see very strongly that there is something happening in April. She's going to take some time. I see like a car. I really think that's when they're going to start filming this show. Okay. I see also, I have predicted this a while ago, I see her strongly moving to New York. I think because she's, I can relate to her personality in that we can be very stubborn about what we want. And if somebody comes, for example, I had a long time ago, somebody told me, should I divulge that? Okay, a long time ago, I had somebody tell me, no, I'm not gonna use that example, but sorry to tease you guys. Somebody else is involved and I don't want to involve them because I haven't gotten their permission. But I will say this. A lot of the time somebody will tell me something, because I do get readings done. And I'm like, that's not gonna happen. You know, even though I believe in this very strongly, I'm like, how could this happen? I'm so, you know, I'm so like, if I stick to something, I make sure that I stick to it. If I do something, I make sure, you know, very curious that way. And then things turn out completely how a tarot reader has told me it will turn out. I'm like, wow, they were right, you know, because I'm very strong-willed. And she's like that too. She's very strong-willed. And I strongly see her moving to New York. Even though she said she doesn't want to, I see something coming that makes her move to New York. And for a long time. It could be a show. It could be like a talk show, actually. Yeah. And then because she has that boyfriend, go back and watch my videos about it, because I've spoken strongly about it. I'm not crazy about him. I feel like he has another side to him. But that's just my opinion. I'm happy for her, whoever she's with. I just hope that he treats her right. And not in a love bombing way, in like a fake facade way, but like in a genuine way. You know how a lot of the time women, we can fall prey to wanting to be with the perfect guy. And we often miss the red flags because we're like, oh my gosh, he treats me like a queen. Meanwhile, he is texting somebody else or stuff like that, you know? So I see him having, I don't know. I think he's shady. Go back and watch my videos though, because I explain why. And we'll get to it. So with the love, Page of Wands, I see here a renewal of their relationship. She is with that guy. He's very handsome. He's very, very handsome guy. I just don't trust him. There's something about him. And you know, when I was younger, I've always been intuitive. When I was younger, I used to be like, okay, maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe this person doesn't mean it like this. And I've been right a lot about people. So now I just, if I feel something weird about somebody, I just keep it to myself. It's always in the back of my head. I'm not going to go crazy about it. But there's something weird about him. So let's clarify Page of Wands. So there's like a renewal in their relationship. So the relationship's really going to get tested. The Star, 5 of Pentacles, 6 of Swords. Because she is traveling a lot. And because they live across the country. I could not do long distance. I've done long distance twice. And I know a lot of people close to me have done long distance that's worked out. But for me, I don't know why. It just doesn't work out. Maybe it's the man I'm choosing. But it just doesn't work out for me. I don't know. So I see here with the Star, 5 of Pentacles, 6 of Swords. She's considering ending the relationship. But she won't until she moves to New York. I'm telling you. And then I feel like she's going to discover things about him. Because there's something different. I like to be in the same city or live in the same area as the person I date. Because you see their day-to-day, you know? And until I see somebody day-to-day or like their day-to-day activities, I don't really trust them. And it's not anything about them cheating. It's just I don't trust their intentions or their character. I don't really care about the cheating part. That part is like whatever. Or the flirting with other people. I don't care if my boyfriend flirt. I care if they cheat, but I don't care if they flirt with other people. That doesn't mean anything to me. So it's not about trusting the cheating or their faithfulness. It's about trusting their character. Like, I'll give you an example. I was dating this guy who lived in, I haven't asked him for this story, but I haven't spoken to him in years, so I will tell the story. I feel kind of bad telling it, but whatever. I'll just tell it because it is my story to tell. But he lived in Colorado and I lived in LA. And I just felt as though he wasn't being, because we were friends before we dated for a long time. And I just noticed like an energetic shift when we started dating, you know? And that's what I mean about day to day. Like when there's an energetic shift, I need to know the reason why. If that makes any sense. Because if there's an energetic shift, and not to do with another person, but just in general, it makes me question the person's integrity, their character, if they're still in it, you know? So that's why I like to feel close to the person I'm with. Does that make sense? So that's why I can't do long distance. But I see here similar reasons why this won't work out. That things are going to shift energetically, and she's going to consider breaking up with him. It's going to be like a big energy shift. Big. So with with well-being, being Ace of Wands, a lot. I said this before. A lot is going to come her way. I see her possibly hosting a talk show, like I said before. I predicted the Chicago. Go back and watch, because I predicted a lot of things that have been accurate about Ariana. But mostly I see her doing that show with Katie, and Love Island too. She's going to do that again. But she's open. I wonder if she has an Aquarius in her chart. Because she's opened, I've been talking about this recently. A lot of people that have strong Aquarius in our charts, because of Pluto and Aquarius, we felt kind of stifled in the past 10 years. But now things are shifting big for us, especially if we put in time at a job and it didn't work out. A lot of us are going to reap the benefits of that now. And I see that with her. Page of Cups, 5 Swords. She's going to even host like workshops that people are going to watch, and stuff like that. Things are really looking out for her. I'm very happy for her, because I strongly believe she deserves it. And she's always been my favorite on Vanderpump Rules. Always, because she was always the voice of reason, I found. But yeah, I do have my gripes with her. I mean, not gripes, but you know, my issues. But it's not really anything that big. Okay, so we're going to move on to Nick Jonas 2025 prediction. I'm using the Crystal Magic Tarot. I did Priyanka Chopra recently, and I did see a divorce coming for them, or her like initiating distance and him trying to chase her. Go back and watch. I will have a card up. It's very interesting to see the dynamic. That's why I do these videos, because it's just interesting. That's why I love reality TV too. It's interesting to see people's dynamics. You know, I love talking about people. I love, not in a gossipy way, but just examining people's behavior, learning from people's behavior. That's big. Yeah, that's why I love reality TV. That's really why I love it. Okay, so I pulled up his career, love, and well-being. I'm using the Crystal Magic Tarot, by the way. So let's start. So his career, Knight of Wands. So I see here like a lull in his career. He's stuck between, do I play the uncle? Do I play the dad? Because he is an actor. After all, lately he's been an actor. And he's like, who do I play now? He kind of feels lost in his career. You know, I only tell personal stories to relate. And I'm sure you guys have stories to relate to. So I'd love to hear in the comment section if you have any stories. I always read them too. So thank you those of you who write them out. But I quit teaching yoga. I taught yoga for 8 years, from when I was 24 till I was 32. And when I left teaching yoga, I felt almost like I had lost my identity, because I'd practiced yoga since I was consistently 19. Since I started doing yoga when I was 14. On and off I did yoga, but consistently from when I was 19. So for 13 years this had been so much of my identity. And because of COVID, because of situations, I had a situation at work where, it's a long story, I'll tell you about it one day, but I felt like I wasn't being heard, and I felt like they were trying to like ice me out of the company. And I was just done with yoga. There's a lot of hypocrisy, there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of negativity in yoga that I didn't want to be associated with anymore. So when I left when I was 32, it was so hard for me to accept that I put so much into that. Now I had started doing my YouTube channel, taking on clients. I mean, I'd always had tarot clients for quite a while, but I took it very seriously, and I kind of pivoted to that. But a part of me still felt like my identity was in teaching, you know, because I taught yoga for almost 10 years. And because I taught for so long, I felt a huge loss in my life, and that's what's happening to him. I see a very similar trajectory, excuse me, of his life, that he has had so much of his identity in acting, but it's not going the way that he thought. So the Magician, Ace of Coins, and Four of Swords, it's almost like he's isolated, and I think that also might be his issue with Priyanka, that competition between actors, that he feels like, oh, she's booking all these jobs, she's doing so well, the older she gets, and it's funny, it's usually the reverse. The woman usually feels like, oh, the older I get, the less valuable I am in acting, because it's very physical based. But he is feeling like the older I get, the less people are interested in me, you know? So, especially with Four of Swords. Four of Swords, he's very scorned. He's becoming scorned about it. And the only advice I give to him, or anybody that's going through it, I went through it, you know? It's you're never too old. One of my mentors told me this. He used to preach this a lot. Yeah, you're never too old. You're never too sick. You're never too fat. You're never too anything to start all over again. And when I was feeling low, especially living in LA, you know, because this is how I felt, my experience living in LA. Unless you're like 21, skinny, 21, and blonde, you know, you have to really have connections and just very superficial LA. And I'm not saying I don't like the way I look. I'm not saying that. I just don't look like the archetype of what Hollywood pushes out. And when you don't, it's really a struggle. I wasn't even in entertainment, but LA is the land of entertainment. So if you don't look like a cookie cutter, you often get pushed to the side. And I really felt like that. Like, I started going for job interviews. A lot of the interviews I went to, people were really rude to me. It was a very unpleasant experience. It kind of reminded me why I needed to leave LA. In fact, that's what ultimately pushed me out. But you can really feel it can be a very depressing time. So any advice I would give is to keep your hope, to be realistic, and if you need to move, like I did, move, because LA was just not the place for me. I only really stayed there because I was teaching yoga, and I loved the landscape. I'm an outdoors person. I love to hike, I love to climb, I love to do stuff in the outdoors. I'm a very outdoors person. But other than that, I really did not like living there. So you have to change. You know, life is constantly about change. And if you stay stuck, which earth signs struggle, he's a Virgo, earth signs struggle with change. And if you do, you're going to fight reality. And fighting reality just means that you're the one being left behind. So I would encourage him to embrace the change, because it's really after the change. Let's see if he embraces change. What's up next for him? Because she's learned, you know, being an air sign, well, Cancer with Gemini, strong rising Gemini, she's learned to embrace change. He really struggles with change. Priyanka, his wife. So let's see. Okay, so he could do master classes, especially being from one of the best boy bands. I mean, the Jonas Brothers was one of the best, other than One Direction, was the best boy band of that generation. So I see that there's a woman that wants to work with him. It's not Priyanka. It's somebody else who wants to invite him on, kind of have like The Voice type. Yeah, I know he was on The Voice, but do something similar to that. Become a teacher. Become a role model. He's kind of stuck in this young energy, but he's not that young anymore, you know. I think he's actually 32, right? 32 is young, but it's not that young. And that's also something you have to realize, is that age does play. It's not your identity, but it does play a role, especially when you are an actor, because that's what you portray in characters. So 5 of Cups, the Emperor, and Queen of Wands. So there's somebody that wants to work with him and to bring him out of this rut. But he's really going to have to believe in himself. It's not easy, trust me, and I feel for him, because I went through it, trust me. So with the High Priestess, for his love, he can sense that there's some kind of distance between the two of them. a lot of distance. Let's see what's going to happen with them. So he senses that there's distance, and he's trying to kind of force. I did say in Priyanka's reading that I strongly feel like he suffers from, well, not suffers, but I think he has anxious attachment style, which is a form of attachment. If you don't know about it, it's very interesting. A psychologist, I forgot his name, came up with this idea of you love, or you tend to be in relationships that remind you of your upbringing, you know, and you love the way that you were taught to love, or you respond to love now the way that you were raised to respond to it. So with the devil, he has to look at himself, and he has to really see how there's a mirror, and she's looking at herself. He has to really look at himself and see, okay, what can I do? I see him putting a lot of the focus on her, but it's time for him, Four of Cups in reverse and Two of Cups, to take accountability, because he's like, I feel like when they argue, I see them arguing quite a bit, he will say, oh, well, you're never around, and kind of push the blame on her. And they teach you in therapy to say, when you do this, I feel like this. So when you leave me, I feel abandoned, you know. And then when you feel abandoned, your therapist, for example, I'm just giving an example, will say, why do you feel abandoned? And it usually stems to your childhood. And as a child of divorce, I felt abandoned too. I don't want to get too much into my personal story, but a lot of us have abandonment issues that we aren't willing to deal with, and I can see him being like that. So with the death being well-being, he's really going to have to focus. I see an end for him, a major end for him with his career, but he doesn't want to admit it. He doesn't want to admit that things are not going the way that he wants them to. He's kind of living in La La Land, which is very Sun in Virgo. I love Sun in Virgos, but sometimes they can be very stubborn to admit that life has not turned out the way that they want it to, and they'll keep doing the same thing over and over. And it's like, sometimes you have to open your mind to different experiences and to different ideas, and humble yourself enough to try something new until life makes you do it. So 9 of Wands, the Empress, and 8 of Wands. I see her coming in, Priyanka, trying to kind of save him, but he's going to feel like it's not her place. So that's what I have. He's got a lot of lessons to do. I hope he's in therapy or some kind of healing, because I see some healing from his childhood. I have said this before, but a lot of earth signs don't believe in that, which is very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate, because you can really... I'm very grateful. First time I went to therapy was when my parents got divorced when I was 9. And I'm very grateful that I got to, because I don't have this stigma about going to therapy. I think a lot of people do. They feel judged. Especially earth signs. I've seen that with them. Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. And their lives will literally like go down into the gutter, and they still won't ask for help, and they still won't get any healing. So you really have to ask for help. Well, you're not weak if you ask for help. It's actually a form of strength, because you learn how to swallow your pride. And pride, especially with earth signs can be very proud. Very, very proud. Okay, so I'm going to do Drake now. Drake 2025. I predicted something that came out accurate. I'm using the Earth Woman Tarot. I predicted something that came out, that he is taking legal action. Go back and watch my live. I will have a card up about it. I predicted that he was going to take legal action against an executive at his record label. I was almost exactly accurate. And people are very team Kendrick. I'm not team anybody, because I've been in the music industry. I know that it's it's the worst industry to be in. You learn how dirty, conniving, and evil people can be in the music industry. You do. So I don't think this was the right thing to do. I think if he were completely innocent, if he were an artist like Cassie, he could sue. If he were an artist who's completely innocent. Not even Nicki Minaj. A lot of them have done dirty things to get where they are. And because of that, they have difficulty speaking up for themselves because they know that they're being hypocrites. And the same goes for Kendrick. Kendrick is very much a hypocrite. So I'm not team anyone. I'm not team Kendrick. I'm not team Drake. But this is not the end of Drake. Drake is very good. Very Sun and Scorpio. Sun and Scorpio's forte is rising again. And we're going to see he's going to transform. He's going to rise again. And he has something up his sleeve. A lot of things up his sleeve, actually. Which is something I admire about Sun and Scorpios. I admire both Sun and Gemini and Sun and Scorpio. Kendrick is a Gemini. I say musically, I like Drake's music more. But again, I'm not a fan of Drake. I'm not a fan of Kendrick. Most people in the music industry, I know that they're capable of evil, pure evil. So I'm not really a fan of anybody. But this is not the end of Drake. So with Career 5 of Swords, he's feeling isolated and he doesn't feel like he can trust people. He's feeling like, who can I trust? Who can I trust? And he's really smart. Oh my gosh. He's actually very, this is very Scorpio. See, this is why I think Scorpios, people say Aquarius I'm a Sun in Aquarius. People say we're the genius of the zodiacs. I don't think so. Even though I love being an Aquarius. We are intelligent in general. But Scorpios are the real genius of the zodiacs. He is calling people's bluff. By doing this, he wants to see who's on his side. Very, very smart. Very, very smart. So let's see. Wow, that's very genius. He's not doing it to get back at Kendrick. People have missed the mark completely. He wants to see, okay, who's on my side? Who's going to stay quiet? He's just looking at different strategies. It's very, very smart. Whoa. This is genius. And I'm not a Drake fan, but I can appreciate the genius of Scorpio. Because they're very good at reading people. It's genius. It's completely genius. So he wants to see who's on his side. He wants to take legal action, but first he wants to see who is on his side. So let's see. Let's clarify. Okay, so he sees that some people are going to come to him and be like, oh my gosh, act all celebratory, 10 of cups in a fake way. Oh my gosh, you are the best. I've always loved you. Then there's going to be the people that are quiet, the hermits, people that are just very silent, don't say anything. And then there are the people that are going to praise Kendrick, 6 of Wands. So the people, I don't think he trusts anyone, which is very Sun and Scorpio. I can relate as a Sun and Aquarius. I'm like that too. I trust very few people. It takes me years to trust. But he knows how people operate. And what he wants to do is, he wants to go with the people that are quiet. He wants to find out why they are quiet. It's very genius, this plan. Because he can see, and this is so Scorpios. This is why I love Scorpios. He can see, he knows that these people are fake. He knows that these people are followers. But he wants to know why the people that are the people that are quiet are being quiet. Because they probably said that they would speak up for him and they haven't. Very, very smart. Genius. Absolute genius. So, with his love, 7 of Cups, I see him meeting somebody. I do admit, it is kind of weird that he does have this thing with, teenagers. But I'm telling you, most of Hollywood is like that. They're very obsessed with youth. It's sick, really. But let's see, 7 of Cups, 7 of Cups. Who is this person? It's kind of like a muse. Scorpios love their muses. Seven of Wands, Eight of Pentacles. So he has been inspired by, she actually seems of age. I see her being 27. And Drake, I think Drake is 2 years older than I am, because I'm 35. I think he's 37. I can't believe I'm 35. When I say that, I'm like, oh my gosh, where did this time go? So I see him being inspired by her, Eight of Pentacles, Knight of Wands, and him trying. He's not really going to be successful. That's the thing about Sun and Scorpios. I feel bad for them, the men, because they can be very playboy, and then when they fall in love, they're ready to commit, and the person's like, I heard about you, you know, and you're bad news. So she's going to feel like she's going to say no. I see her being 27. She's an actress. She's going to say no because she's gonna have heard all these bad things about him. That might have prompted him to do this, actually, him meeting her, because she said, hey, I don't like your image, and he wanted to prove to her, hey, you know, I'm not actually like this. I'm not like this. I'm gonna defend myself. She's like, it's kind of too late. So with Three of Pentacles being his well-being, I see him coming out with an album. Might involve other people. I always say this, guys, I'm big on reality TV, so that's what I focus on. But I see 2 other people, so he's going to be like a 3, you know, Three of Pentacles. It's going to be 1 person and then 2 other people in this album. This album's coming out February, March. Time is fluid. I'm usually accurate, but I'm not saying I'll be accurate here. I can't guarantee it. February or March, because, you know, time is pushed back. Sometimes, a lot of the times, and stuff like this. But February, March, I see an album with 2 other people. It might be like the group, you know, LMF. What's that? LMFAO. That kind of thing. It's going to be like his earlier music, his 2010 kind of music, King of Wands, but he's the one driving it, Page of Pentacles. He even reached out to them and he was like, let's do this together, it'll be fun. And really, he has not a lot of allies right now, so that's why he chose a group that's not that popular. It seems like a group. I get LMFAO type energy. It's not necessarily them, but I get that energy. So with the Boss and the Death being the Fool, I see a whole new page from coming. Never underestimate a Scorpio. That is their superpower. The legal people have got it all wrong. He didn't do it to get back at Kendrick. He did it to see who's on his side. He doesn't even care about Kendrick. People have it all messed up. This is why Scorpios are intense, man. In a good way, though. I'm not crazy about Drake, like I said, but that's his brilliant strategy. Brilliant. Okay, so let's move on to Lori Harvey. I said Lori. 2025. She's a sun in Capricorn, I believe. I'm using the Moonchild Tarot. Let's get into. I'm going to do her career, love, and well-being. She's so pretty. She's so gorgeous. Every time I see a picture of her, I'm just like, wow, what a vision. Okay, so career, love, and well-being. Interesting. So with career, I get the Lovers. And I have predicted this before. I feel like people can come for me for saying this. But her career has become very socialite and associated with certain men for an image, you know. And because of that, she really needs to be careful what she's putting out there, because people are not going to read it very well if she's with somebody for a year and then all of a sudden, and it's not anything to do with being a woman, it's about being used, you know. It's about being used. So these men are using her for her career, for their career, and I just want her to also focus on herself. I think she has so much potential. She's beautiful. I just think she's been misguided a lot. So with the Magician, Temperance, and Two of Pentacles, I see very strongly, especially with Two of Pentacles, She's having struggle believing in herself. And that's what I mean about misguided. I used to struggle from this a lot. Where, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but if you're known for being the model, being the pretty one, and I'm very grateful that my grandmother, because I look exactly like my grandmother, gave me the looks that I have. I'm very grateful for that. That's not what I'm saying. If you're known as the beauty queen, the model, that type of person, you have to solidify your personality and solidify your belief in your intelligence and believe that you can. And I'm going to give you an example. I recently went back to school and I studied computer science. And when I was a kid, people would tell me I was very good at computers, but I never thought of it because I didn't really believe, number one, that women could be good at technology and that I could do modeling and computer science, So that balance, she needs to find that balance and believe in her intelligence. I think as women in general, we need to believe in our intelligence and believe that we can do it. We struggle. We're very good at being, especially if you're the beauty queen type, which I can see with her, the model type. We're good at being on somebody else's arm, but we're not good at accepting that maybe I can be it, which is very possible. And that's what a lot of women struggle with. So I highly encourage her and anybody watching this, especially to women, you can be it too. For a long time I used to be like, oh, I want to meet a man in tech. And I realized, I was like, I'm in tech. Why was I constantly, because that's how we're wired, We're wired to meet the guy that we want to be when we can become it. I don't know if that makes any sense. So, with her love, the Fool, I see a new relationship, and this might be the one that I see about her career. A new relationship, let's see. For some reason, this new relationship makes me feel like it was in the past. It's a past person coming back. 5 of Wands, 7 of Wands, and King of Pentacles. It's a past person. I think it might be future, actually. Oh, gosh, that guy. And he has something to say to her, but she's going to see his behavior. She's going to see that he hasn't really changed. I don't think he's capable of change, like big change. And she's also going to see that it's all talk. He's going to throw around his money and be like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm amazing. And she's like, no, you really aren't. You haven't changed. You haven't grown. You're still the person that you used to be. And it's going to take time for her to see it, because she does tend to be drawn to people with money and finances. So with 5 of Cups being her well-being, I see her being kind of a little sad. I think she feels like she's getting older. She hasn't had kids. She thought she would have kids by now. And I get that, that's very valid. But I do recommend, a friend of mine told me this. I think I might have mentioned this before on the channel. A friend of mine told me this a while ago. And she said, become it. Become what you want. And I recently did that, I recently decided, instead of harping on about wishing that I would meet the right guy, I decided I'm going to take myself out for dates. I'm going to be there for myself. I'm going on trips. I made myself happy. I decorated my apartment exactly how I wanted it. And I really learned to be happy alone. I used to say that a lot, that I was happy to be single. But this summer, I really meant it. And I think sometimes as women, we are afraid to be happy to be single, in case we do meet somebody and then we're so happy we're alone that it's hard to make space for them. But you're not going to attract the type of quality person you want to be with if you're unhappy single, because it's energetic, And the Chariot, 3 of Pentacles, and the Universe, she really has to focus on her home, there's stuff missing on home. There's stuff, really, really make herself happy. Do things to make herself happy, And I made a promise to myself. I was like, once a week, I'm going to do something just for me. And I take myself shopping, I buy myself trinkets, I do things like buy myself earrings, you know, just do something, one thing that was just for me. And I highly recommend she does that. Highly recommend she does that. She's got lots of promise, and a lot of the time, especially as women, we think 30s is the end of everything, but really it can be just the beginning, and the beginning of a beautiful story. Yeah, so I'm gonna do Naill Horan, or Horan, how do you say it? He's Irish, right? I believe he's Irish. And I believe he's a son of Virgo. I get Mercury energy, so he's either son of Virgo or son of Mercury. Excuse me, or son in, oh my gosh, Gemini. That was hard to say. Okay, so let's do career, love, well-being. By the way, I'm using Pixel Soleil Tarot. Love this deck. Okay, so career, a lot of cards jumped out, so he has a lot to say. It's funny, he comes across as a silent type, like quiet type. He might be son of Virgo, because they tend to do that, where they come across quiet, but when they open their mouths, they have a lot to say. So with his career, I get King of Wands. So he's doing something that requires a lot of energy. I think he might not, I know he hosts The Voice, but I see something outdoors. Like something to do with camping, something like that. I see him like, you know those Arizona mountain types that are like flat and red? I see him doing something around scenery regarding that. I see that very strongly. Kind of like Mount Rushmore type. I know Mount Rushmore's closer to the Midwest, but I see that area like flat and colorful rocks, and driving a car around that. I just got that image very strongly. So he's gonna take a lot of action. He's going to do things that are just, he really wants to make, I see him being close to his mother. He wants to make his mother proud, and that requires him really putting in a lot of effort. I think he might move back to Ireland after this big venture, but he really wants to just like take one for the team and then go back to Ireland. So let's see. He's got a very sweet energy about him, very, very sweet, and like, I don't know, it just gives me good vibes, very good vibes. His energy just seems like light. Okay, so 5 of Swords, Wheel of Fortune, and the World. So he wants to make a name. He wants to really, which gives me son of Virgo. He must be son of Virgo. He wants to make a name for himself and change. Okay, Aquarius, Sun and Aquarius. I always relate it to how, I just like to relate it to personal stories, because I think you guys understand that more, or people understand it more. But for example, I'm a Sun in Aquarius, and they say we are the humanitarians, but we're not necessarily humanitarians in doing it. We like to represent it, if that makes sense. But he, as a son of Virgo, likes to do it, which is something I criticize other famous Aquarius about, because sometimes we don't put our words into actions. That's something I've had to learn. But he does. That's what earth signs are good at doing. They are good at putting it into action. So what he wants to do is something that's close to his heart. It might be something to do with cancer. It might be something to do with, it might be breast cancer. But he's going to do like a big charity event regarding this. And it's like big for him. It's something he's wanted to do for a long time. And to raise a lot of money for this specific awareness. It's very sweet. Very, very sweet. I only get good vibes from him. Really good vibes. So, with his love, Page of Pentacles, I see him being with somebody. I get 2 years. 2 years give me that they've known each other for 2 years. But I get 2 years. And I see him wanting to take it to the next level. So let's see how she feels. Let's see. Okay, so she wants to see how, I think she might be Irish too. I think they've known each other, I said, for 2 years. They might have been together for 2 years, but I'm getting the inclinations they've known each other longer. They just become closer the past 2 years. With the Judgment, 9 of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, she's very to the point. You know, he might say something like this to her, like, oh, I think you're beautiful. And she's very like, she kind of gives me Hermione Granger energy of, you know how Ron is so in love with her. I've just recently restarted watching Harry Potter, and if you watch Harry Potter, you know I'm talking about how most people have watched Harry Potter, how Ron is just so in love with her, and she's very blunt, and she doesn't really sense that he's in love with her. He has to be like, okay, I'm in love with you, for her to understand. Because she's just very like to the point and kind of I don't want to say on the spectrum, because I don't think that I think we overuse that, but she's very much in her own world, you know, very like focused. Let me stop saying like a lot, but she's very focused on one particular thing. So the person has to outright come out and say, I like you, I want to date you, because she's just focused on different things, that she's too focused on different things to accept that somebody might be interested in her, you know, especially money. Not in a bad way, she works hard for her money, but she seems very sweet. Her name might be Lily. I just got the name Lily for some reason. Anyway, so with his well-being, Page of Swords, I see here a lot of people are going to be, it's going to be a big year for him. 2025 is going to be a big year for him. I see this thing really panning out, whatever it is. It's like a charity, something big. It's panning out for him big, and he's going to have a lot of eyes on him. A lot of eyes on him. Okay, so let's move on to the last one, Austin Butler, and then I'm going to go do my Thanksgiving plans. So I'm not going to rush, but I'm just saying that my last one. Okay, Austin Butler, 2025. So handsome. He's so handsome. So I cannot with him. A little too young for me, but even though I think we're the same age, right? Yeah, I think we're the same age. But a little too young for me. So let's see, Austin Butler. Career, love, loving. Okay, I'm using the Star Child Tarot for this. Beautiful, beautiful deck. Career, love, well-being. Okay, so not such a good year for him, unfortunately. But we can always turn things around. You know, some years are more challenging than others for us to learn and to grow. I'd say especially also Sun and Leos. I've noticed a lot of Sun and Leos are really going to go through it, are going through it, or really going to go through it. Leo is our opposite sign. I'm an Aquarius. It's my opposite sign. And because of that, planetarily, the planets are not necessarily going to favor Leos. But this is their time to do their shadow work, to look at healing, to look at growth, to really, you know, I'm seeing a lot of Leos in general. I feel like they can take things too personally sometimes. I love Leo, it's one of my favorite signs. But if they're not number one, they get upset. And especially with his career, Ace of Cups, he has to learn to be more emotional in his characters. And you know, the thing about what I've found about dating actors, because I've dated a lot of actors, and I've had the great fortune of dating, I think all my actor exes have been such wonderful people that it's completely broken the cliche that a lot of people have had about actors, dating actors. I've had a wonderful experiences dating actors. But I think the actors that I dated have tapped into the emotional side. It's not just a facade. It's time for him to do the same, which is something that Leos can struggle with. Leos can struggle with, like I said, they very verbose, very grandiose sometimes. Number one, I'm the best. But when it comes to emotional, same thing with Aquarius, we have that too, because we're opposite signs, and but similar traits sometimes. When it comes to being humble and allowing emotions to go through them, because there's a lot of pride involved, they struggle with it. And that's going to be the read in some of the roles that he has. I see him getting big roles. I did say I see him doing like getting Oscar buzz. I did predict a lot that's already happened for him. I see him taking on a big role. A big role. But it lacks emotion that he needs. He's going to start opposite a woman. The woman is going to get a lot of praise, but he is going to get a lot of criticism. And the criticism he's going to get is that he was too two-dimensional. And that's because the shadow work of Leo is to humble yourselves and to really allow. You don't always have to be number one. It doesn't always have to be about you. You don't always have to get your way. And that's something Leos really need to learn. Otherwise, it will be their demise. 100% their demise. So, with love, Four of Crystals, I see him in his relationship with the Gerber. I forgot her name. Cindy Crawford's daughter. She's focusing on herself. I wouldn't be surprised. I've predicted a breakup for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens this year. It's going to be a tough year for him. It's going to be a very tough year for him. I'm not even joking. And he's going to have to learn a lot of life lessons. You know, I think that's what happens in your early 30s. You have to learn, you know, in your 20s. This has just been my experience and people that I've seen. In your 20s, you don't know anything about life, but you think you know everything, and you fall, you get back up. Because you have the energy, you know. And then your 30s, you have to really look at, okay, this has happened to me 5 times already. Why? You know? This has happened to me over and over again. The other person's gone. I'm still here, and it's still happening to me. Why? And he's going to have to see that. She's going to start to distance herself from him. I don't know what her sign is. I want to do another reading about them. But she's going to distance herself from him. 4 of Swords, 3 of Swords, Ace of Crystals, and it's going to really upset him. He's going to be like, why? Am I not enough for her? And that's the ego. The Leo ego is strong. It's very strong. When they feel betrayed, when they feel wronged, they can be very emotional, but because they have a lot of ego. And, you know, just like a lion, they go, rah, rah, rah. And it's not going to be good, especially if it gets to the press. It's not going to be good. So with well-being, 5 crystals, I would highly recommend that he lays low and he works closely with a therapist, closely with a coach, to tap into his emotions and to humble himself. Because he has a lot of pride. And it's not bad. It's good to have some pride, but the problem with Leos is that they can have too much pride. And that's going to get in his way. It's going to get in his way. So that's what I have for you guys. I'm going to go off and enjoy my Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoy yours too. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you like. Please make sure you subscribe. Please make sure you comment. I do love to hear your opinions. I really, really do. Thank you everybody for watching. I'll be back next week with all the tarot class members and my extra videos and the live. So thank you. I love you all. Take care.